Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. And so you can see, my lighting looks a little bit different. That's because I improved it all. I think I made it a bit better. Took off the blinds in some of my windows. Well, there's like a second, I don't feel like explaining it. I'll show you maybe in a different video. If you go back to my room tour video a while back, you might have seen it. But anyway, so Batman rankings in the future, you got all Jokers ranked, Riddlers, Catwoman's, Penguins, not in that order, all four of those. I'm also going to rank all Batman villains, obviously, Batmobiles, best moment from every Batman movie, maybe Batsuits, I don't know about that one, it depends on time, and then Batman finales. So I'm dedicating this time in the channel to do Batman stuff. And then in the time, I'll be doing Scream movies ranked, as well as Ghostface Killers ranked. So that'll be fun. And what do you think about my new lighting? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like it? Do you prefer the original? At night, it's going to look a little different when I film these at night. I'm filming it during the day, obviously. So, one more thing. Just go check out my Batman playlist that has all the rankings. And I rewatched all these Batman movies, obviously. You can go check out all my Batman movie reviews. So, quick little disclaimer. I was sick over the weekend. And, well, today's Sunday, I guess. But I've been sick the past couple days, so I'm not feeling all the well, so I might not bring it the best in this video, but I'll try my best. So, with this Baby Yoda shirt, let's get into it.
And here we go.
Starting off in last place, yeah, Justice League 2017. The thing of this movie is that before I would have seen Snyder Cut, I think, even though I hadn't watched Batman and Robin, I think I would have put this one ahead of it, because I think the thing is that it's not a horrible movie to me, it's just not good. Like, there's some weird jokes thrown in there, like the part where Flash just lands and Wonder Woman just, what are they going for? On the other hand, there are some funny ones, like the part where Aquaman sits on the lasso of truth. I thought that one was kind of funny, but this is the only one I didn't rewatch, because I've already seen it a couple of times. First time, I didn't hate it. Second time I watched it, because I think I watched it right before I saw the Snyder Cut once that came out. And I think once you see the Snyder Cut, it really affirms everything about this movie that you hate. Because everything in that movie is just so much better than the Snyder Cut. So, like, I have no reason to go back to this one. I was thinking about I didn't even watch it this time around because I just didn't want to. I just don't like it. It's as simple as that. There's some bad jokes. Steppenwolf is not a good villain here. He's good in Zack Snyder's cut, not in this one. There's some odd sequences, and then the Flash is just not heroic. They throw in the idea of him being afraid of bugs, and then they even try to, what they do, they have him push a car, and then they one-up him with Superman carrying this building. Also the effects are kind of bad. There's so many just things. I just hate what they did in this movie. Now I kind of view it as an abomination. If you like it, whatever. I don't. And that's why it has to come in last place. Coming in number 13 is going to be Batman and Robin. This one isn't quite as bad as Justice League, because I think this one actually is kind of entertaining, if I'm going to be honest. It's one of those movies that's almost so bad that's good, but it's sort of so bad that's entertaining. It's like the Die Another Day of the Batman movies. And overall, it's enjoyable, sort of, but it's just bad. It's simply put, just a bad movie. From bad ideas to the Bat credit card scene.
7 million. Never leave the cave without it.
To horrible interpretations of characters. To weird pun jokes from Mr. Freeze.
Let's kick some ice.
Allow me to break the ice.
I'm afraid that my condition has left me cold to your pleas of mercy. All right, everyone, chill. Cool party.
You know what I mean. So, the thing with this one, George Clooney is also just not good in this one. He could have been a great Batman, and I think in that sequel, Batman Unchained or whatever it's called, I think he actually from what I've heard, I think he could have done a great Batman. And even if he could have played Batman instead of Christian Bale, I think he actually could have done a great job. But in Joel Schumacher's clearly live-action cartoon, yeah, he was not. Bat Nipples, horrible. I know I've talked about the Bat Nipples a lot in Batman Forever, but there's just more problems in this one. And then once you come to the end, it's just like, okay, that was 2 hours. Next. It's just a bad movie all around. This one I feel like, unlike Justice League, I feel like I could stand to watch it again. barely, but it's just so cartoonish, and I just don't like it. It's just not for me. It's just, I don't know that anyone who would say this is their favorite Batman movie. I do get a little kick out of Arnold Schwarzenegger because he's doing a very Arnold Schwarzenegger-like performance, and I love Arnold Schwarzenegger. Terminator 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. He's also, and I think he's my favorite part about the movie. Other than him, there's like nothing else that I like about it. Coming in at number 12 is going to be Batman 66. Overall, this one, it's okay. Like, the problem here is, it's just like a movie I'm just not going to go back to because it's not my kind of Batman. It's a very campy version that's totally a product of its time. It was still enjoyable, like, it was okay. The plot didn't really do much for me. There's some fun sequences, like the whole part where he has to get rid of a bomb. I thought that was pretty good. Also, the villains are fine. Adam West is pretty good in the role. And it's good for what it is, but it's just not something that I'm all that into because when you're mean, you grew up with The Dark Knight, or any other darker Batman movie, even when you get like the 80s ones, I think are a bit darker. So, and then you come back to this one, it's just like, okay, alright, that's not my thing. Coming in at number 11 is Batman Forever. Another one's that's just fine. Like, there's some fun things, like I think some of the action sequences are all pretty good. I think it's a bit of an improvement to when it comes to action sequence compared to the Tim Burton one, specifically Batman Returns. But the problem is, I don't think the villains work. I think Tommy Lee Jones, I think the problem with this one, same with Batman and Robin, the casting is just, the characters was not very good. Both, I think Uma Thurman and Tommy Lee Jones fall into this category, where I think they could have played good versions of their characters in a different kind of movie, in a much darker film. And then you have Jim Carrey, on the other hand, who's playing Jim Carrey. He's not playing the Riddler. I mean, he's fine, I guess. It's kind of fun to see him. I think that's where you're kind of there for. And I think the one nice part about this one, compared to the other three of these Batman movies, it's the only one that's legitimately, I could call a Batman movie. It's a Batman-centric story. He has a little bit of a character arc. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's fine. It works well enough. It's better than nothing. And I think Val Kilmer, he's fine in the role. I don't, hate him or anything. He's one of my least favorite Batmans, that's for sure. I think he's just a little bit better than George Clooney, though. He's just not the right guy to play Batman. I'll just say that. And overall, I actually do enjoy this one. It's still fun. There's some good action sequences. But I think the bat nipples are very distracting. I don't like the Batmobile in this one. And then pretty much right when you have this line right here.
Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?
I'll get drive-through.
That pretty much sets the tone on how this Dark Knight will be acting in this movie today. Or in general. So, I don't care for this one. Kicking out the top 10 is going to be Batman Returns. Unlike Batman 89, I think this one's story is much more cleaned up, where that one is just very confusingly told. This one has a clear narrative, even though they end it, and then the end it gets a little weird. But overall, I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit, whether it's with the Tim Burton version of the Penguin, very Tim Burtonized. Same with his version of Catwoman with Michelle Pfeiffer. I think she's great in the role. She's my favorite iteration of Catwoman, probably. And overall, this movie has a pretty interesting world of Gotham, but at the same time, it's a very Tim Burton movie, not a very Batman-focused movie. Same with Batman 89. It doesn't seem like he's that interested in Batman, to be honest, because it's literally, it's Tim Burton's movie about three lonely weirdos. Not really about Batman, no character arc. And by the end, Batman's just in it, sort of. He doesn't really have anything to, he's just sort of in the movie. It feels like a Penguin and Catwoman movie with Batman. More so than a Batman movie going against his own villains. That was kind of weird, but there are some good sequences, like the part where Selena Kyle finally gets into the whole Catwoman thing. And I think overall, Michelle Pfeiffer, as I said, she's fantastic in this role. And then you also have Danny DeVito as the Penguin. A bit of a weird version of the Penguin. I think Colin Farrell was much better. But at the same time, he's a very Tim Burtonized version of the Penguin. I kind of like that. It makes for a very unique thing. And I think Tim Burton's directing style, I'm not a huge fan of it, if I'm going to be honest. This is still a very entertaining and fun movie. Number 9 is the Lego Batman movie. The thing with this one, I think if you made the final battle way less chaotic, I think actually it would have been much better. Because I think everything from the opening sequence to pretty much the scene where before the Phantom Zone is pretty much introduced, I think it's actually a pretty great Batman story. It involves him sort of not wanting to accept other people into his life, and it's only him. He works alone. And I think the way other characters are involved in that, whether it's Barbara Gordon, Dick Grayson, or Alfred Pennyworth. There are some very funny scenes. Like, I think some of the jokes there are all pretty funny. Like the moment where they totally just crap on the bat nipples. That was funny.
I've seen you go through similar phases in 2016 and 2012 and 2008 and 2005 and 1997 and 1995 and 1992 and 1989 and that weird one in 1966.
And overall, I think all of those elements are all pretty good for the most part. I think this movie's pretty entertaining, if I'm going to be honest. But I think the end, I'm just exhausted by the end, because the action in the final battle is so chaotic. I can't really fall into it because it's just too much for me. And I think that's the part that really hurts this one, in my opinion. As the Lego Movie spinoff, it works. I don't like it as much as the Lego Movie, obviously, which that movie I feel like I have more of an interest to go rewatch than this one, if I'm gonna be honest. And overall, it's still a good movie. I still actually quite enjoy it. But compared to all of the other ones, I just don't think it really, holds up. This is definitely the hardest one for me to place because I think the first half is great. I would have maybe put this one number 6, but I think the final battle is really what hurts this one. Coming in at my number 8 is going to be Batman 1989. Michael Keaton's great in the role as Bruce Wayne Batman. I just think the thing with this one, it's just, the story is just not good. It's just very weirdly told, where you see stuff going on with Joker, what's going on with Bruce Wayne, what's going on with Vicky Vale, what's going on with Batman. You're not seeing really the full picture. And I think until the museum sequence, the movie is just very odd. Even though Jack Nicholson's a lot of fun as the Joker, I think once you get to that museum sequence and on, the movie becomes actually a great Batman movie. No character arc or anything. I think there's some pretty cool sequences, like the museum sequence is great. I also love the final battle. This is one of the better Batman final battles, in my opinion. Of all the older ones, it's easily the best until you get to the Nolan trilogy as well as the DCEU. And overall, I do actually quite enjoy this one. I had a great time watching it. It's a little cheesy, a bit goofy, but overall, I still enjoy it. The Batsuit is great. Michael Keaton's pretty great in here. The Batmobile's great. The Joker is a great villain. I think Jack Nicholson does it really well.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What?
And overall, I had a fun time with it. It's just not one of my favorites because this is not one I really grew up with. I've seen it a couple times before I saw it this time. And I've always liked it. I've never really loved it. And I think that's why I kind of have to place it here. Coming in number 7 is going to be Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition. I don't watch the theatrical cut. The thing with this one is, I actually really enjoy it. There's some great sequences. That warehouse fight, freaking fantastic. Other sequences, I also really enjoy the whole sequence at the Nightmares. You have the Batman v Superman sequence. You have the Doomsday fight. I think all the action sequences are great. The main story bits are just, I don't know. They don't quite work. It doesn't all pull together. They're trying to do too much. They're trying to do a Batman v Superman movie. They're trying to do a Justice League setup. They're trying to get Doomsday in there. They're trying to put Lex Luthor in there. They're trying to have a story about whether the world should have a Superman or not. There's just too much in there. And the movie, you do feel the length. By the time I was over, I was glad I was done. I think by the time I was done, it was already noon. I don't even know. I still do actually quite enjoy this one. This one's a lot of fun in my opinion. I bet at the same time, I don't like the version of Lex Luthor we get. I'm pretty used to the Gene Hackman version of Lex Luthor because I'm a huge fan of the original Superman. And seeing this version, I would have been okay if they did a different, much darker, newer, modern version of Lex Luthor. Here, they make him so just Jesse Eisenberg where he's pushing Jolly Ranchers into people's mouths. His very happy Jesse Eisenberg personality just doesn't, if he was doing a version of a different character, I think that would have been fine, but as Lex Luthor, I don't even know what they were going for. That's my biggest issue with this one, if I'm gonna be honest. Ben Affleck is great as Batman. I think he's always been pretty great as Batman. Until really get to Robert Pattinson, he was even more so than Robert Pattinson. He's definitely the bulkiest of all the Batmans, and I think he has the best bat suit in my opinion. I think that is one of my favorite Batman suits. Overall, I really enjoyed this one. It's just, I'm never going to really want to rewatch it because it's kind of a long movie. But I love that warehouse fight. It's fantastic. Coming in number 6 is going to be The Dark Knight Rises. I really enjoyed this one, if I'm going to be honest. I think this past watch told me I actually really enjoyed this. I love Bane. Tom Hardy as Bane is fantastic. I like the twist at the end, but who does? The problem with this one, there's very little Batman in it. You have Batman for 20 minutes in the movie after that little arc between Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, and then you have Batman for the last 20 minutes, so there's barely any Batman in this. It's for the entire middle hour and a half of it, it's just Bane taking over the city. So, I mean, it is what it is. But I still really enjoy this one. There's some great sequences. I love that car chase through Gotham. The final battle is epic in scale. And I think overall, there's some great things here. It's just not one I ever really want to go back to because it's just so exhausting by the time you're done with it. There's a ton of plot holes, and I think that's also what hurts it. Like, I think the fact that they just totally undermined Bane as a villain just is so disappointing. I don't think it hurt him that much, but it hurt him for being much closer to chopping Heath Ledger's Joker. I think he was fantastic. I know some people can't understand the voice with the muzzle on. I can understand just fine. I think it's actually pretty unique. And I think overall, I think the score for this one's just as good as the rest of the Dark Knight trilogy. And overall, I just still really like it. I think Anne Hathaway's Catwoman is pretty good. I don't think they needed to put her in there. I think as Batman sort of, I don't know what to call it, like his love interest, it doesn't quite work, especially after Rachel died. So, yeah, all those put together, odd elements to here. I think there's some plot holes here that make the movie much worse, that Nolan could have hollowed out the script. I wonder what sort of hurt this one, and I think the main thing is that I wonder if they were going to do like a sort of Hannibal Lecter type story with Heath Ledger's Joker. Yes, I have seen Silence of the Lambs, and I think what happened was because of Heath Ledger's passing, this didn't have Nolan as much as for to have it made Nolan less excited about making another Batman movie. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But just my thoughts. So, yeah. Kicking out the top 5 is going to be Batman Mask of the Phantasm. The thing with this one is, this is not one I watched before, because I never really was a fan of Batman the Animated Series. I just want to put that bluntly right here. I said this in my little quick review. You can go check that out. But actually, I really enjoyed this one. This one had some pretty great Batman stuff. Batman story. I think it squishes a bit too much into like an hour and 15 minutes or whatever this is. I think Mark Hamill's fantastic as the Joker. You have other great villains, like I think the Phantasm was great. I think you have a little cameo with one of the gangsters in there. I believe it was Maroni, I'm not 100% sure. But I think overall, all those elements put together makes for a pretty good Batman story. I don't think it's a great Batman story because I was never really a fan of I never watched Batman the Animated Series because I just never did. But I actually do really enjoy it. Now I sort of want to watch it. Let me know in the comments below if I should watch it. So, I thought this was a great Batman story. I thought all those elements put together made it work. It's not one of my favorites. Like, I'm not going to want to go back and rewatch this one as easily as some of the other ones. But for what it is, I actually really enjoyed it. Coming in number 4 is going to be The Batman. Okay. The thing with this one is, I loved it. I thought it was great in theaters. This is a totally S-tier Batman. I just need more time. It's kind of tied with my number 3 because I still loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It had some of the greatest Batman action sequences ever put to screen, with the car chase, some great fight sequences. This is some of the best Batman fight sequences. Outside the warehouse fight, this is the best Batman fights in my opinion. I think the suit looks very menacing. Robert Pattinson's pretty awesome as Batman. I talked more about that in my Batman actors ranking. I'm not going to get into all of it. Andy Serkis is pretty good as Alfred. Paul Dano does a great version of the Riddler. Colin Farrell as the Penguin's great. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is pretty awesome. I think the cast overall in this movie is pretty great for the most part. You also got John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, or Falcone, whatever you want to pronounce it. I thought he was pretty, and he kind of gets under your skin a little bit. I think he's a lot of fun here. And I think overall, this just has some great Batman action sequences. I'm excited. I saw it twice. I liked it just as much on second watch as I did in first watch. I don't know if I'm ready to call it as good as the Dark Knight. I originally had this one second place on first watch. I didn't really bump it down. I just like the other two just slightly more. I also just need more time for this one. I loved it. Tell me what you thought about the Batman in the comments below. And let's move into the top 2, or top 3. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Batman Begins. The thing with this one is, if the fight sequences were better, this would be much closer to The Dark Knight than it is here. But because they're not good, it just hurts the movie. Like, if you did that so much better, you could add a fantastic Batman movie. Instead, it's a pretty great Batman movie. I don't know if it's quite as good as The Dark Knight, but I think it's still pretty great. The origin story is fantastic. Once he captures Falcone, I think it's a fantastic Batman story. Even after that, I still think it's pretty fantastic. Like, I think Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is great. Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul. I know no one really even talks about him. I think everyone talks about his role in movies like Taken. Even though that's a fantastic film, I think this is the movie where he really became the badass that he is now. I thought he was fantastic as Ra's al Ghul. This is a great role for him, and I think the thing is that unlike the other two Dark Knight films in the trilogy, because I feel like the villains overshine Batman. None of the villains here, I think, are meant to do that. I think Ra's al Ghul is supposed to be a character that propels Batman for his origin story, while Joker and Bane sort of overshine and kind of take the movie away from Batman to an extent. I love this one. Great. The fight sequences aren't great, clearly, but I think overall it has so many great elements. Christian Bale is great right off the bat, and I think as a origin story and character study of Batman, it works perfectly. Coming at number 2 is going to be Zack Snyder's Justice League. Originally I had the Batman at number 3 or 2, and then you might be surprised that's at number 4, because I put Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think I bumped it ahead of those two. I just love this, what they did with it. It's, even though you do sort of feel the length, I think all those 4 hours were needed. Like, I'm always at the edge of my seat with this one. There's never a moment where I'm getting pretty bored, want to play on my phone, look at my text messages. You do feel the length, I will admit that, but I think it is great. Everything that was taken away from this movie and put into the theatrical cut made that movie worse. And I think that's why this movie works so well. Everything right from the beginning right from beginning to end, pretty awesome character moments, even though it's a little light in action throughout the middle. I think actually the first 2 hours, the middle hour where I think that whole sequence with Cyborg, I think was the best part in my opinion, where I think Cyborg, I think that whole part of it was my favorite part of this film. That's how good it is. Like, it takes these little character moments or big character moments, and that's the best part of it. That's why this movie works so well. Zack Snyder really gave us a fantastic finale to his little trilogy, and I wish this is the movie that just came out in theaters. I don't know if it would have been 4 hours, even if it was cut down a little bit, like you could have gotten rid of some sequences, specifically the one where those villagers are singing at the beginning, if you know what I'm talking about. But overall, I thought this movie worked so well. Everything about it just makes me wish that Justice League was just better. Overall, I love this one, and it's kind of pretty close to The Dark Knight. I knew it wasn't going to be better, and obviously it isn't. Coming in number 1 is The Dark Knight. I had trouble with that. Overall, what is there to say? It's The Dark Knight. I think the thing with this one, you just have so many amazing sequences, whether it's all the sequences in under the lower whacker. And one of my many issues is that I do feel like this is Chicago, not Gotham, because I live in Chicago, so it's hard to imagine it as anything else, compared to even Batman Begins, in my opinion. But overall, Nolan crafted this fantastic film. I think this is very close to Inception, to topping it. I should review that. What's wrong with me? Overall, I love The Dark Knight. Who doesn't? You have Heath Ledger's Joker. He's amazing. I've gone over that in my review.
Why so serious?
Aaron Eckhart has Harvey Dent Two-Face. No one gives him enough credit, but I think he's fantastic here. I think he's an amazing villain. Great. Even though Heath Ledger is the star, I think Aaron Eckhart is just also fantastic. Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne / Batman is great. You have Michael Caine as Alfred. Everyone is so great in this movie. All the set pieces, all the dramatic sequences, everything put together makes this movie quite fantastic. And makes it one of the best comic book movies, one of the best action movies, one of the best movies, period, of all time. And that's why this one has to come in at number 1. Well, I'm exhausted. I think it's only been an hour since I started filming. Anyway, tell me what you think about these movies in the comments below. Which one's your favorite? I'm assuming it's The Dark Knight. If you like Batman Begins more, or the Batman, or Zack Snyder's Justice League more, it's okay. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios. I need a cup of water.